I never know I am suffering from this until now. What I'm holding here is PTSD medicine. It helps with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. In my family, something happened, but when this thing happened, my mother said it was somebody doing witchcraft work in our family. It was evil work being done in our family. She looked at it on a spiritual level. And I understand, coming from African household, I am sure it's not just my mother and me. A lot of African people believed when something bad is happening in family, it is somebody else doing witchcraft work in their family. And this is real. Witchcraft is real in Africa. People do evil things with witchcraft when they want to kill you, when they want to do this and this. But anyways, in 2018, when I was in university, I remember getting a call from my mother that my brother went mad in the house. He wanted to kill her to the point she had to run to call neighbors to come protect her and my siblings from him because he was so violent. His mental problem was really, really bad. At the same time, my other brother is actually my uncle, but we are only 1 year apart and we grew up since we were children, so it is weird for me to call him uncle. He was married to a woman. They had children, twins, beautiful twins. I received a call from a friend that, did you know your brother killed himself and his wife and the twins? For me, I thought he was joking. I didn't take it serious at the first. But from the tone of his voice, I started taking the call serious. So he said, go on the news. There is this news, NBC News. I saw the news. That's when I was like, whoa. So I called my mom. I told her. She started crying. And I remember, while she was crying, she said something like, this is another evil attack. So me, in the same year, I was depressed with my grades in university. My academic performance was not that great, struggling with English. I never been in school in a refugee camp. I started school in 9th grade, still struggling with English, and my grades were not good. Like, it would take me days to work on essay only to get a C+. So I felt, man, there was this dark cloud on me in university. Adding that to the news of my brother going mad, my other brother taking his life, that just added more things on top of what I had going on. So I dropped out of school. I moved to Los Angeles, signing a modeling contract. Things happen in the modeling contract, people trying to use me. I said no, lost the contract, lost my apartment, lost everything, to where I am making this video in Skid Row. But moving in Skid Row, after few months, I started getting flashbacks. When I see somebody with a machete walking around with a machete, I get these flashbacks between the violence back in the refugee camp and the reality of where I am, like the present moment and the past moment in the refugee camp. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're seeing the past and the present at the same time. So your brain, your mind, you don't know what to do. I don't know how to explain it. When I hear a woman screaming, like back in the refugee camp, when a person is screaming, it means that person is getting attacked. So either people have to step in to help, which a lot of time people are not doing. So either the attacker has to leave that person alone, or that person will end up getting killed. That's when the scream will go away. So me hearing screams in Skid Row give me flashbacks. I have my roommate, he says he hears voices, and sometimes he gets aggressive talking to those voices. When I hear him getting aggressive, it gives me flashbacks when in a refugee camp, people are in line for food or blanket or whatever, and the violence will break out and two people will get into it, So it gives me those. And when two people get into it, fight back home is not like fight here where people will call 911, police will show up and break it up. When fight break out, there is like back in a refugee camp, there were no news to report what is going on. It means one person most likely is going to lose their life. It was a way of setting fear into other people. It was a way of saying, I'm not the one to mess with. I'm not like, when you do that, people will not attack you because the news will spread out and people start, will stay away from you. When I mention a machete, in the refugee camp, there is different zone. The refugee camp I'm talking about is called Meheba, Zambia refugee camp. You can Google it. In this refugee camp, there is zones, zone A, zone B, and in these zones, there are people from different countries living in zones. And a lot of these people are enemies to each other. Example, Benyamurenge, who are Congolese, and the native Congolese don't get along because the native Congolese believe Benyamurenge are people from Rwanda who are claiming to be Congolese in order to take over Congo. So there is this conflict. On top of that, I remember at that time I was living in a refugee camp. There were people from Angola and different Burundi, different part of Africa. And a lot of these people were not getting along. Example, in my being Congolese in my background, even Congolese themselves don't get along. You have people like me, I am Kasai tribe, you have other tribes who don't even get along. So when violence break out between two communities, it means life and matter of bloody life and death, where machetes are being used. You are witnessing people throats getting cut off, hands and all that stuff. We at young age, we used to get recruited by the old members who were protecting the community. Our job was to go get water, food and other stuff for them while they are patrolling the area, they are fighting, they are protecting the area. Because in a refugee camp in these zones is thousands of people. In those thousands of people, you have like one police station in one zone, and at this police station there is no police cars to patrol around in the area. There's no even bikes. In those times, I don't know about now, there were no even bikes for the police to like patrol around. So it was rare to see a police person unless they are going to arrest the person, and they have to like carry this big, it's like a machete. That's when you see them in a uniform going to arrest the person. It was rare to see a police present. So when fight broke out either between two people, two groups or two community, it was not something pleasant to see, especially at the age that we were in. But for us, it was normal to a point where we were using machetes to protect ourselves, and it was not something good what we did in order to protect ourselves. And what we used to do to help our mother to put food on the table, we used to go to the farms, pick fruits, vegetables in a basket and go to the market to sell them. The market from where we were living, I think it was like 15 miles walk, in an area where the Zambians were living in, the teachers, doctors, near the police stations. This was where the market was, because was where the money was, like where people who were working, because the Zambians were the one with the document to work in Zambia in those refugee camps. And refugees, what people used to do in order to make money was farming and other things. Are just my English, I don't have enough English to like describe them. So working like a teacher, a doctor, it was rare to see refugees doing that, but some people, they were hustlers enough to do that. So markets were in a place where people with money were. When we would carry these fruits baskets and go to the market, we will have a price that we will stand on. But then the old people would try to talk to us into lowering our price, because we were kids and they want to use violence to intimidate you into lowering your price. I don't know what it is with African community when old people put hands on you, beating you in public. They won't face no consequence. People would take it as you, as a child, you are being disrespectful to them. So when we will disagree with the price that they wanted to buy our things at, they will get violence and beat us and yell at us. This was not a pleasant experience. These things led to PTSDs that now in Skid Row I'm realizing these are the things that my brothers had. These are the things that led to my other brother take his life, because just how dark society can be and just the things that you experience at a young age, I don't know how to explain it. I remember going to the market. Sometimes a person will come, buy the whole basket of tomatoes, and they'll say, take this to my house, walk with me to my house. You walk with that person to their house. When you get to the house, they tell you, take this in the house. You take it in the house and they try to talk you into doing their housework, like dishes and all that stuff. So for me, the way we were conditioned to speak up for ourselves. You say, no, I'm not here for that. Just give me my money, let me go home, because my siblings, they are home waiting for us to go home with salt, cooking oil, sometimes candle, and other things, food, so they can eat and go to bed. So, and also I have to walk, like a really long walk. Most of the time it is in the dark. When it get really dark, there is no light. You know how in the cities you see light on the street, you can see where you are going. We didn't have that. So you're rushing to go back before it get dark. But these people, they won't listen. So they will get aggressive, they'll put hands on you, sometimes they'll do sexual things to you. This used to break me down. I know my brothers were going through it too. It will break us down to a point where I don't know how to say it. But then when you go home, you don't know how to talk to your parent about it. You just swallow it because it's normal. It happens often. So it becomes like a routine. It becomes a normal. And even if you tell your parent about it, there was no much being done. So when I came to Skid Row, I find myself getting flashback. I didn't understand what is going on. Finding myself in where my mind is between the past and the present, but you are seeing mental picture of things. I didn't know how to get rid of it. I came in this bed, sleep, wake up, still like I wasn't being myself. So I went to say, doctor, I explained, and she said what you're experiencing is PTSD, and which led to this, what I'm taking. But the point I'm making is, after me going through everything, it makes sense to why my brother lost his mind. The last time I saw him was 2020. None of my family members know where he is. I am working on looking for him, and my other brother taking his life, taking the life of 2 innocent, beautiful children and his wife. The only difference between me and them, I have control over my situation. Mine only gets triggered. I am not mentally ill. I am fully, how you say it, my mind is normal. Only when I see certain things, this is when I get triggered. Like there is certain things, like a person screaming for too long and you all of a sudden can't hear the voice of that person screaming anymore. People walking around with machetes, people violently talking to themselves, arguing with themselves. Those are the things that triggers me, and these triggers takes a long time to get rid of. On the other hand, my young brother in high school was introduced to weed. He started smoking weed in high school. So in high school, we used to see behavior change in him, but we didn't really pay much attention. He started sleeping a lot, getting aggressive. I don't know if he was doing more than just weed, but whatever that was, drug use gave him little control over his PTSDs. My other brother too, the one who killed himself along with his wife, he also was using drugs. His wife introduced him to drugs. So when argument get between them, that's where argument become very violent. In the news, it says the children were killed by something hit on the head, along with his wife as well. Drugs gave him little control over his situation. My point of making this video is I just wanted to point out that as Africans, if we can just start taking mental health problem like a sickness rather than spiritual thing, rather than blaming it on witchcraft, if we can start seeking help, talking to therapy, this and this, we will prevent a lot of life being lost, like the life of my brother who killed himself, the wife and the children. We will also prevent a lot of people going through it, like my brother who's on the street, and also me who is just dealing with it because we didn't know who to talk to about. You will talk to your parent and your parents will tell you, let's pray about it, and you guys pray and nothing, you're still facing the same thing. Witchcraft in Africa is real. I am not sitting here to say witchcraft does not exist. Witchcraft in Africa is real. People use witchcraft to kill other people when they get jealous of you, when they want to do things to you. Family members do dirty things to each other through witchcraft. And remember, in a refugee camp where there is no police, there is 1% police in a refugee camp. So people have to find other ways of protecting themselves. That is when witchcraft comes in. Like when you go in somebody's farm, you steal, there are consequences that people used to face, like somebody hand getting so big and having this sickness that cannot be healed unless you go back to the person that you steal from and you ask for forgiveness, and when they forgive you and this sickness will start going away. I have witnessed these things. I have seen it, like magic, African practice, whatever, those things are real, you know. So they can be used for good or bad, depends on people's personality. But the point I'm making is those things are real. Those things are real. Witchcraft is real. But we need to learn how to differentiate between what is actually witchcraft and what is actually mental problem because of what a person has been through, what a person have seen, and how is that affecting that person, where that person is. So that is just the point I'm trying to make, because man, this sound like I'm trying to, I don't know how to say it, but I get dreams of my brother, both of them, and waking up is like, damn, I will never get to see them again. I'll never get to see them until this world ends, until my life as I know it ends too. I'll never get to see them. That it's, I don't know how to explain it. When somebody you grow up with, things we used to do, going to the market and fighting to feed our young siblings, and you know, all of a sudden that person, when he started using drugs, it turned into like a different person, you know, like it's like it was no longer him. And when he killed himself, man, it's so much that we can do as humans in African communities. I don't know about other communities too, but if we can stop treating mental issues through prayers, rather than trying to address the cause of the problem and learn how to deal with it on a person level rather than spiritual level, I feel like a lot of a lot of changes can be made and a lot of life can be solved.